Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to the Best English Podcast. My name is Sarah, and I'm so happy you're here today. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt nervous when speaking English in front of other people? Or maybe you knew the words in your head, but when it was time to say them out loud, nothing came out. If you've ever felt this way, you are not alone. Many English learners feel nervous, shy, or even afraid to speak in real life. Today, I want to share the story of Emma, a young professional who moved to London for work. Her journey is full of challenges, small victories, and moments that will feel familiar to you. And as we listen to Emma, we'll also learn useful English expressions, practice listening skills, and discover ways to build confidence step by step. So get comfortable. Maybe you're walking, sitting, or having a cup of tea. Wherever you are, take a deep breath, and let's begin.
Emma stepped off the airplane at Heathrow Airport. She carried her suitcase in one hand, her excitement in the other. The air was cooler than she expected, and gray clouds stretched across the sky. "Welcome to London," she whispered to herself. Her first challenge came immediately: passport control. The officer looked at her and asked quickly, "Purpose of your visit?" Emma froze. For a second, the words felt like a puzzle. But she remembered her practice. She smiled nervously and said, "I'm here to work. I have a job contract." The officer stamped her passport. Thump. That heavy sound was the beginning of a new life. Emma took the train into the city. The announcements echoed through the train car. Next station, Paddington. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform. She listened carefully. Some words were clear, others sounded like music she couldn't quite catch. On the train, she noticed people reading newspapers, scrolling on phones, talking quickly in English. She felt small, like a child again. "Will I ever understand them?" she thought. The next morning, Emma dressed carefully for her first day. She put on her best jacket, held her notebook tightly, and walked into the tall glass building where she would work. The receptionist smiled. "Good morning. Name, please?" Emma answered softly. Emma. Emma Fisher." First day. The receptionist nodded. "Welcome, Emma. Take the elevator to the 12th floor." Emma's heart raced as she entered the elevator. She practiced in her head. "Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." When the doors opened, she was greeted by her new manager, Julia. "Hi, Emma. So glad you're here. Come meet the team." Emma smiled nervously and repeated her line. "Hello. Nice to meet you." Her colleagues shook her hand, one after another. Their voices blended together. "Nice to meet you. Welcome aboard. How are you? Great to have you." Emma nodded, smiled, but understood only half of what they said. She felt her cheeks getting warm. After a short tour of the office, Julia brought Emma into a meeting room. The team gathered around a big table. Papers rustled, laptops opened, coffee cups steamed. "Okay," Julia began. "Let's talk about the new project. The deadline is tight, so we'll need everyone's collaboration. We'll gather feedback, divide the tasks, and update the client next week." Emma heard the words deadline, collaboration, feedback. But everything else? Too fast, too much, like waves crashing. She wrote notes quickly, but when someone asked, "Emma, do you have any thoughts?" she panicked. Her mouth went dry. I just listen. I'm listening," she stammered. The team smiled politely and continued. But inside, Emma felt embarrassed. That evening, Emma walked home in the London rain. Drops fell on her umbrella as she replayed the meeting in her head. "I studied English for years. Why can't I understand them? Why do I feel lost?" She sighed, passing by a busy cafe. Inside, people laughed, ordered drinks, talked easily. Emma longed to be part of that world.
Let's pause here and look at some useful words and expressions from Emma's first day. Purpose of your visit. A common airport question. Purpose means reason. Example. The purpose of this meeting is to plan the project. Mind the gap. A famous London phrase. It means be careful of the space between the train and the platform. Welcome aboard. A friendly way to say welcome to the team. Example. Welcome aboard, we're happy you're with us. Deadline. The final time or date when something must be done. Example. Our deadline is Friday. Collaboration. Working together. Example. Good collaboration makes projects easier. Feedback. Comments or opinions about work. Example. The teacher gave me feedback on my essay. Notice how Emma felt in the meeting. She caught a few key words: download, collaboration, feedback, but not everything. That's okay. When you listen in English, you don't need to understand every word. Focus first on the main idea. Ask yourself, what's the topic? What's the feeling? Then, little by little, the details will become clear. So that's the beginning of Emma's story. The excitement, the nervousness, and the first small struggles. But remember, this is only the beginning. Every great journey starts with small, shaky steps. We met Emma on her first day in London. She survived the airport, introduced herself to her new colleagues, and sat through her very first office meeting, where she caught only half the words. Now, let's follow Emma as she faces her early challenges. And you'll see, sometimes mistakes can feel terrible in the moment, but later, they become funny stories we never forget.
2 days later, Emma sat at the same long table in the office meeting room. The walls were glass, and she could see the busy city outside. Red buses, people hurrying in the rain, umbrellas like colorful dots on the street. Julia, the manager, started talking quickly. Okay, team, let's brainstorm ideas for the client's campaign. We'll need creativity, speed, and clear communication. Emma heard, brainstorm idea, campaign. She thought, brainstorm? What is that? Storm in the brain? As people began sharing ideas, Emma stayed silent, scribbling in her notebook. Her colleague James leaned over and whispered, "You okay?" Emma smiled awkwardly. "Yes, just listening." Inside, she felt nervous. How can I join this conversation if I don't even know the words? Later that morning, Emma decided to take a break. She went to the small cafe near the office. The smell of roasted coffee filled the air, and soft jazz music played in the background. When it was her turn, the barista smiled. "What can I get you?" Emma wanted a simple black coffee. In her head, she translated from German, "Ein Kaffee, bitte." She opened her mouth and said, "One coffee, please." The barista tilted his head. "Do you mean a latte?" "A cappuccino? An Americano?" Emma panicked. Why so many coffees? She just wanted something simple. She pointed quickly at the menu and said, "This one, Americano." The barista nodded and repeated loudly, "One Americano for Emma." Everyone in line turned their heads. Emma felt her cheeks burn red. When she finally sat down with her coffee, she laughed a little at herself. "One coffee, please." Well, at least I tried. By the end of the week, Emma was tired. Each day felt like climbing a mountain. At night, in her small apartment, she opened her laptop to watch English TV shows. She tried Friends. Everyone laughed so quickly, making jokes she didn't understand. The subtitles moved too fast. She pressed pause. "Why is this so hard?" she whispered. Emma felt frustrated, like she was always one step behind. She wanted to be funny, relaxed, confident, but instead she felt like a robot.
Let's pause and look at some of the keywords and expressions from Emma's challenges. Brainstorm. To think of many ideas quickly, usually in a group. Example. Let's brainstorm some names for our project. Campaign. A planned series of actions, usually for advertising or politics. Example. The company launched a new campaign for their product. Americano. A type of coffee, black and simple, often chosen when you don't want milk. Panicked. Felt sudden fear and didn't know what to do. Example. I panicked when I forgot my lines in front of the class. Frustrated. Upset because something is difficult. Example. I felt frustrated when I couldn't solve the problem. Notice something? Emma didn't know brainstorm at first, but later, when she connected it to storm in the brain, she began to understand it meant lots of ideas at once. Sometimes your imagination helps you guess meanings. Here's an exercise for you. When you hear a new word in English, don't panic. Ask yourself, what's the situation? What's the feeling? Use your imagination to guess the meaning. For example, when Emma heard brainstorm in a meeting, she guessed storm plus brain. That picture helped her remember. Later, when someone said, let's brainstorm ideas, it made sense. So, next time you hear a strange word, don't stop listening. Keep going. The story around the word is your best teacher. So, in these early days, Emma faced meetings she couldn't follow, mistakes at the coffee shop, and evenings full of frustration. But remember, every challenge is also a chance. Because when you fall, you learn how to get back up. And Emma was about to discover a small but powerful technique that would change her English journey. We saw Emma struggle. Confused in meetings, embarrassed at the coffee shop, frustrated at home. But here's the good news. Progress often begins with small steps. Sometimes the smallest change in your routine can open a door you didn't even see before. So let's see what Emma did next.
One evening, Emma was scrolling on her phone when she saw a podcast app. She thought, maybe this will help me. She searched for English podcasts and found one with slow, clear conversations. She pressed play. A calm voice said, "Hello. Today we are going to talk about daily routines. For example, I wake up at 7, I brush my teeth, I go to work." Emma listened carefully. She understood almost everything. She smiled. This is easier than the TV show. I can do this. From that day on, she made a new habit. Every morning on the bus to work, she listened to one short podcast. Another breakthrough came when she played her favorite English songs. She loved Adele. She had listened to her music before, but only for the melody. This time, she decided to really focus on the lyrics. She printed them out, circled new words, and sang along. Her neighbor probably thought, "Who is this singing so loudly through the walls?" But Emma didn't care. For the first time, English practice felt fun. The biggest change came when she learned about shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a sentence in English and then repeating it immediately, copying the rhythm and intonation. So one night, she listened to a podcast and whispered after the speaker, "Hello. Today we are going to talk about daily routines." She repeated softly, "Hello. Today we are going to talk about daily routines." At first, she felt silly, like a parrot. But after a few days, something amazing happened. The sentences started to feel natural in her mouth. Her tongue was moving in new ways. Her voice was stronger. She thought, maybe I can sound like them too. A week later, Emma was in the office break room making tea. Two colleagues, James and Priya, were chatting about the weekend. James said, "So, Priya, what are you up to this weekend?" Priya answered, "Probably just relaxing, watching a movie." Emma stood quietly, stirring her tea. Then, almost without thinking, she spoke. "Me too." I want to relax. Maybe watch Netflix. The room went silent for a moment. James looked at her, surprised, then smiled. Oh, cool. What do you usually watch? Emma blinked. She had joined the conversation, and they understood her. She laughed nervously. Friends, but too fast sometimes. Priya laughed kindly. Yeah, they talk super fast. Don't worry, you'll get it. Emma walked back to her desk with her tea, her heart light. For the first time, she had joined a real conversation in English. A small moment, but for her, it felt like climbing a mountain and finally reaching a view.
Let's pause and look at some new words and phrases from Emma's small victories. Podcast. An audio program you can listen to on your phone or computer. Example. I listen to podcasts on my commute. Lyrics. The words of a song. Example. I love reading the lyrics while listening to music. Shadowing. A learning technique where you repeat what you hear to copy rhythm and pronunciation. Example. I practice shadowing with TED Talks. Parrot. Metaphor. When someone repeats words exactly, like the bird that copies speech. Example. At first I felt like a parrot, but then I improved. To be up to something. An informal way to ask what someone is doing. Example. What are you up to this weekend? You can try Emma's method today. Here are 3 steps. Listen daily. Choose a podcast or short video you enjoy. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. Shadow. Repeat sentences immediately after the speaker. Copy the rhythm, not just the words. Join a small conversation. Use one short sentence with someone. Even just "me too" or "I like that" can make you part of the dialogue.